Hello YouTube! I'm going to be dissecting parts of Blair White's videos, specifically those that deal with or touch on trans youth and their right or ability to transition. I'm here to kind of provide some insight as a transgender child. So, I'm going to be watching Blair White today because she has a lot of interesting opinions, to say the least, on transgender youth. Okay, so this first video is the truth about trans kids from trans adults. Oh, I can just tell this is gonna be great. And I just like to point out that the people in this video, they did not transition as kids. They transitioned as adults. So other than being trans, the youth part, I don't know how much they can really provide insight to.
The most pressing issue, I feel, is the kid thing.
Yep, we're definitely in alignment on that.
You know, the bathrooms are one thing, the pronouns are one thing, we can talk about whatever. There are kids getting really messed up by the direction this ideology is going.
Okay, so we're already off to a not very good start. They're already saying that kids shouldn't transition.
You know, there's always exceptions to any rule. I believe that there are some kids that might benefit from this, but on a whole, if we look at it, what's happening today, I disagree with everything that's happening.
So he's saying there are kids who might benefit from this, but see, I've already watched this video and he fails to elaborate on this further. If we're gonna say kids shouldn't transition and then say there are exceptions, but never ever touch on any of the exceptions, like what are the exceptions? Would I be an exception? Would I not be an exception? Who would be an exception?
I disagree with the fast, which we have been started calling it fast tracking.
Yes.
Of pushing these kids, like, if you're gonna die if you don't transition, that's all complete, total nonsense. And it's actually, on some level, well, it's lying, first off, number one. Number two, it's putting parents in a very, very, very vulnerable space.
Yeah, I would say that is complete, total nonsense. No one says that. No one has said that. And I've never been told that in my whole life. So yeah, I agree. It is total nonsense.
And we're not putting the actual real information out there. So parents don't have anywhere to go. If a doctor's telling you your kid's going to kill themselves, any parent.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to change my kid.
Right.
100% I am.
So he is arguing that kids and parents are being told their trans kid will self-eliminate. I'm a trans kid. I've been going to therapy. I've had a counselor. I've gone to many trans groups, been on medicine for almost 2 years, and I have been to countless doctor's appointments because I am trans. Never ever in any one of those situations, in any of my appointments, and any of my trans groups, have I ever been told that I will kill myself if I don't go on medicine. My parents have never been told that I will kill myself if they don't allow me to go on medicine. Misinformation.
And you have to remember that the kids are hearing that as well. And the kids are hearing, oh my God, if I don't transition, then, you know, my life's basically over. And they're literally creating a self-fulfilling prophecy of these kids taking their lives.
There are statistics that show if your kid transitions, they are less likely to self-eliminate if you allow them to take HRT. Statistics speak.
There's so much damage to be done to these kids through the medications. We talked about Lupron. So people don't know this, but Lupron, aka puberty blockers, they give it to children at 11 or 12 to block puberty. And this is also the drug that's given to pedophiles in prison to sterilize and chemically castrate.
Okay,
That's right.
Here's the thing. Lupron is temporary, which means if you stop taking it, you are no longer sterile. That is the same thing they give kids, because guess what? It stops the production of testosterone, or it stops the production of estrogen in the body, which makes you stop going through puberty. It also has a side effect of stopping you from having sex drive. It has two good uses. So scary.
People don't know this.
No, they don't know. I've been doing a lot of research on Lupron because, look, I want kids to be happy.
Being on Lupron makes me happier than I would be if I was not on Lupron.
But when you start to do the research on this puberty blocker, holy crap, I can't even believe what it is, and how if people actually saw the real truth in this actual drug, there's no way anyone would be okay with giving that to their child.
Medical professionals give out Lupron because it is the best option. That if it was so bad, there are many alternatives to Lupron that transgender kids can take that stop puberty. So if it was really as bad as guys wants to point out, we would probably not be taking it.
Historically, it's been gender dysphoria is something that afflicted really young boys. It's flipped now.
I know, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's actually weird. So where did that come from all of a sudden? Where all of a sudden are these young girls realizing TikTok? Just look at TikTok.
So I love how we're just blaming TikTok for an explosion of young trans boys in the recent years. Now, assuming it is TikTok, would it not be for the better that more youth are transitioning? They have a way to find out that they are transgender at a younger age before the full onset of permanent changes through puberty. They're finding out more and finding out earlier. That's a good thing.
I've seen 13, 14-year-old kids with chest surgery going, woohoo, we have we're so like, what? Who does that?
And so I don't know where kids are allegedly getting these surgeries at 12 or 13. And assuming you're getting that surgery at 12 or 13, you would have likely been on puberty blockers before puberty onset. Again, I think this dude is just running his mouth and making up stuff on the fly.
This has always been a private space. I think for yourself as well. Transitioning is a very private space. And to be jumping around about your surgeries or these things seems very indoctrinating to me.
Okay, you are on the internet right now talking about trans youth being bad. You're indoctrinating your audience to think trans youth is bad, using your position as a trans adult to convince unknowing people that trans youth is bad. They're sharing their experiences. I would consider this podcast, this video, to be way more indoctrinating than some boy sharing his top surgery.
To me, the conversation ends at, do you believe children can consent to sterilizing themselves by 12 or 13?
Yes. As a minor who's gone through the process of beginning my social and medical transition, I did not just walk into a pharmacy and say, yo, what's up? Can I buy some Lupron and can I buy some estrogen? You're sterilizing yourself by going on these drugs. Sure you are, but they make sure you know it. If I wanted to have kids that bad, I could just stop taking estrogen, stop taking Lupron, go through male puberty, and have kids.
There are kids who have dysphoria. I don't like to call them trans kids. I call them kids with dysphoria.
Because there are people with dysphoria that are not trans.
There you go. And so once you start labeling something, you've now immediately pushed it into a space, and then why do we have a huge amount of detransitioned children?
Okay, so I'm assuming they're referencing like body dysphoria. No one's saying body dysphoria is gender dysphoria. Not equivalent. Can you have both? Yes. So this is why there are many safety nets in place for children, and I'm assuming adults who are transitioning. So like you can safeguard transitioning all you want, but like you can safeguard any other surgery, there will always be people who regret it or people who detransition. But there's only so much you can do. If 1% of the whole transgender population detransitions, that is nothing. Compare that to other surgeries where the average is 15%. So withholding medication from a youth because there's a possibility they detransition because they've mistaken something as being something else, like you can't, come on. I'm done with this video. On to the next. So I think we have another really good video for everyone. It is called The Trans Kids Parents of TikTok: Narcissism, Exploitation, and Profit. What a great title. Let's hear what she has to say.
The reaction when people hear that we have 2 trans kids is pretty shock and awe.
The odds that you have 2, not just 2 transgender children is, according to ChatGPT, 0.002%. I don't have to even ask ChatGPT this, but the chances of you being a narcissistic pig, 100.
Okay, 0.002%. It's called chance.
You put an implant in your baby to block their natural development. I never thought I would be one of those people who's like, oh, things really are demonic, but they are.
Yeah, they did put an implant in their baby to block their natural development. That is because they are transgender. Now, this implant is equivalent to taking my shot every 3 months that blocks my puberty. Now, why might someone want to do that? Oh yeah, because they're transgender. And now what does this blocking of hormones do? Well, it stops them from going through their puberty. And by stopping that, you stop unwanted, irreversible changes. And now again, I'd like to point out, this is completely reversible. So what are we even worried about? This happens in cisgendered people as well. And no one's out here saying, no, you put an implant in your baby? How could you?
That I'm gonna be like murdered. Like one day I'm gonna be walking down the street and somebody's gonna come up and like shoot me or something.
She asked me three questions after she heard who won the election. Are we going to have to move? Are they going to take me away from you? And am I not going to be able to get my medicine?
First of all, not only validating and inflating your child's confusion and emotions, you are allowing your child to believe that because of the president, that they are in physical harm's way.
You know what? I'm going to be brutally honest here. Because of Donald Trump's recent election, transgender youth, transgender adults, and transgender people of all types, they're rightfully concerned for their safety, for their transition, for their medical treatment.
It's been 5 years since you've been a girl. Are you happy?
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that matters. I love you, Edie.
That's actually not the only thing that matters, right? Like, if your child was drinking Drano, but in fact enjoyed the taste, would you then say, well, as long as you're happy? No. Permanently altering their sex characteristics is actually what, like, people survive playing in traffic as kids. You can't come back from this.
Okay, so I love how she uses this "as long as you're happy" thing against the person. I think we can agree that hopscotching on the freeway and drinking Drano is not equivalent to socially transitioning. One is beneficial to the child, one is negative. We know that drinking Drano is bad, and we know that transitioning in the circumstance where you have gender dysphoria is good. You can't come back from this. They have not medically transitioned. This video is over, and if you watched to the end, you are like freaking awesome. Thank you so much. That's all I have to say for Blair White. If you'd like me to do this again, leave a comment. Yeah, anyways, goodbye.